What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, and today we're going back to the 2008 NHL Draft as we discuss the draft pick swap that would lead to the selection of Roman Josi. So this trade, of course, occurred during the 2008 NHL Draft. It was between the Nashville Predators and Arizona Coyotes, then Phoenix, and Nashville would acquire the 38th pick from Arizona in exchange for the 46th and 76th picks. How did this trade work out for the two sides? We will start with the Nashville Predators, who, with the 38th selection, would select defenseman Roman Josi. Now, Josi slowly established himself as an offensive-minded defenseman, but that doesn't mean he was bad on defense. He was still one of the top defensive players. He would deliver a lot of hits, but more importantly, he would get a lot of block shots. Now, he had 5 goals each of his first 2 years in the NHL. Now, his 2013-2014 campaign, which was his third year in the league, saw him kind of break out offensively, recording 13 goals and 27 assists for 40 points over the season. Now, the following year was even better for him as he would record 15 goals and 40 assists to pair with 209 blocks. So he's really establishing himself as a guy who's not afraid to throw his body around, take hits, take blocks, and, still has a mind for the puck. So he had similar stats to those in the 15-16 campaign, and he had a solid 2016-2017 regular season. Now, he would show up in the playoffs that year, recording 6 goals and 8 assists over 22 games as they would go on to the Stanley Cup Finals, which they would unfortunately lose. Now, he was named the captain following this performance prior to the 2017-18 campaign, and he continued to improve offensively in the 17-18 and 18-19 campaigns, recording 53 and 56 points respectively in both of those seasons. Now, he breaks out in the 2019-2020 campaign, recording 16 goals and 49 assists. Now, this would lead to him winning the James Norris Memorial Trophy, which is the best defenseman in the NHL. Now, he's been good so far in the 2021 campaign. He hasn't been elite, but he's still been a very good player. His defensive stats are there. His offensive stats are slowly catching back up to what they were in the previous couple seasons. Very good pick for Nashville. He is still one of the top players in, the league, especially on defense. Now, what did Arizona get in return? So the 46th pick would end up getting traded to the Florida Panthers. Now, they would trade the 46th pick to Florida in exchange for the 49th and a 2009 4th-round pick. So, with the 49th pick, the Arizona Coyotes would select right wing Jared Stahl, brothers of course, Eric, Jordan, and Mark. So, how did this work out for them? Well, let's just say it didn't. So, he does not sign with the team, and he gets traded to the Carolina Hurricanes before his rights would expire in exchange for the 138th pick in the 2010 draft. Now, with the 138th pick, they would select goaltender Louis Domingue. And Domingue himself, he would appear in 7 games in the 2014-15 season. So he finally makes it to the big league, and he appears in a handful of games. Now, the next year, the 2015-16 campaign, he would start 36 games due to injury. So he was really an injury replacement, and he does decently that year. Now, he slightly regresses in the 2016-17 campaign, but he is the backup, so he's at least on the NHL roster. Now, in the 2017-18 campaign, he would appear in 7 games, but they just weren't feeling it, so they go to demote him to the minors, and then you know what, let's just trade him rather than have him play in their minor leagues. So they would trade him to the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for left wing Ty McGinn and goaltender Michael Leighton. Now, left wing Ty McGinn, he really doesn't do much. He would record a goal and an assist over 18 games in a season before he was let go, allowed to leave the team. So he was more of an enforcer anyway, and they didn't necessarily need him. Michael Leighton, the other player involved in this trade, he ends up doing decent. He spends a little bit of time in the AHL, but then he ends up getting traded himself. So he's traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins along with a 2019 4th-round pick in exchange for right wing Josh Archibald, goaltender Sean McGuire, and a 2019 6th-round pick. So right wing Josh Archibald, he had an okay 2 years on the team as a depth piece before he would walk. Sean McGuire, the goaltender, he only played it in the ECHL, never made it above. And that 2019 6th-round pick would become the 176th pick and was used on center Anthony Romano. And Romano himself is currently playing in the NCAA, so he is not eligible to sign a contract with the team yet. So that's everything that they got up to this point here. So remember, with the 46th pick, they traded that to Florida. They also got a 2009 4th-round pick, which would become the 105th pick in the 2009 draft. With that pick, they would select defenseman Justin Weller, and Weller himself was ECHLer for 2 years before he left the organization. Now, in the original trade, the Coyotes also got the 76th pick. They would use that pick on defenseman Mathieu Brodeur, and Brodeur himself hung around the AHL for a few years before leaving the team. So that's Arizona, that's Nashville. How did everybody else do? We will start with the Florida Panthers, who got the 46th pick in 2008. With that pick, they would select defenseman Colby Roback, and Roback himself bounced between the NHL and the AHL for 4 years, spending 42 games at the NHL level. He would record 0 goals and 3 assists before being traded away. We will not be discussing that trade. Next, we have Carolina. Now, Carolina got right wing Jared Stahl, and they hoped that he would play well with Jordan Stahl, his brother in the organization as well. Unfortunately, it didn't really pan out. He spent most of his time in the AHL, only appearing in 2 games at the NHL level before being released. Tampa Bay would get goaltender Louis Domingue, and Domingue played sparingly as a backup for 1.5 years before he himself was traded away. We're not going to follow that trade. Lastly, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, that 2019 4th-round pick would become the 104th pick. It gets traded away. We are not going to discuss that. The player that they really wanted, though, was goaltender Michael Leighton, and Leighton himself served as AHL depth before walking. So, yeah, not exactly inspiring. So who wins this trade? Is it really even a question? Nashville, Roman Josi, amazing player. But it goes to show you, this trade is still technically ongoing. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your day.